All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation, my name is Reed Nelson. I'm here with Jason Briggs. Players Committee seating meeting finished in record time. We're going to break down each seed. And what we'll do is we'll break them down 1 to 20, or we'll figure something else to talk about. So, number 1 seeded Rebels. It was a close, tight matchup.
Close.
But the 7-1 Rebels snuck past the 8-0 Killer Beez and the 8-0 Klub. You talked about today how this is actually a benefit to the Killer Beez. Let's not talk about that yet. Let's just talk about what this means to the Rebels.
I think it's deserved. They 7-game winning streak. I know Klub and Killer Beez have an 8-game winning streak, but hardest schedule in Bloomington. They lost their first game by 3 points and just have dominated pretty much every game. Now the Squires game was close. Obviously came down to a buzzer beater, but they've just looked far and away the best team. So I think I made a pretty solid point in my article. I don't know if I swayed anyone, but there were probably 4 or 5 people who had them first. A couple had Killer Beez and one had the Klub. So it was definitely the majority had the Rebels ahead.
For me, actually, and I prefaced this a little bit last week, but the Klub being 8-0 is what did it for me. Because the reason being is I've always said in the past, if you're 8-0, you're 8-0, you get the 1 seed. But that would have meant that if I would have stuck to that, I would have had to have put the Rebels at 3 behind the Klub as well, which I just couldn't do that. It just didn't make sense in my head, so I couldn't do that. So in the Rebels bracket, they will face off against the winner of Callahan Players Club. Yeah. Now, 15 to 18, 19, it was just a jumbled mess. Right. Talk about Callahan Players Club, what that matchup is going to be like on Tuesday.
Well, we actually discussed 13 through 17 for about probably our longest discussion, probably 15, 20 minutes. That is a fantastic game. I think Players Club have now won 3 straight, but each game has been extremely close. I'm pretty pumped to see that. That was one of the matchups I'm probably the happiest about for the playing games. And for some reason, Callahan's offensive game just does not translate against the Players Club, and their defensive abilities don't really work against DeBoer and Hickson. So it's 3 straight for Players Club. I'm interested to see if the 6-man Callahan team can change that trend.
Well, and I believe the Players Club played the Rebels last season. Because I was speaking to a guy from the Players Club saying, they crushed us last season. We definitely want to get them back. Yeah. So this works out for the Players Club if they're able to win.
And both games are both teams could be potentially fun, just because Players Club does want at least to put on a good show against the Rebels, because last year was a 40-50 point loss. It was horrible. And Callahan has Kevin Chase, and so they've got that big guy who can help with Ferber, Kloby. They've got Emmanuel. They've got some good wing players in Hoyle. So I think Rebels are obviously going to beat either team, but at least they should be somewhat competitive games.
So that was 16-seeded Callahan, 17-seeded Players Club. The bottom half of the Rebels bracket, the 8-seeded Squires, 9th-seeded Muskies. Talk about this matchup.
It is a rematch of Week 8, where the Squires, I believe, ended up pulling away and winning by a dozen, I would say. Very good matchup. I think things might go differently and Junius mentioned it online, if Bennett's there. I think their defense is better. But I don't know, if you look at the Muskies' points per game, I don't know if they've got the ability to score enough to win a game in the 60s. It has to be in the 50s, and I don't think they can hold them. Even though the Squires are missing Marshall Cullen, who's at college, who I think is their best ball handler. So you think ideally the Muskies press would work against a team that struggles to dribble, but it didn't last week, and I don't know if it will next week. But winner of that gets the Rebels. Muskies Rebels never played. Squires Rebel was a Carson Cody Hines buzzer beater. So I think both those games in the Elite Eight would be pretty solid.
So we'll go down on the lower end of the bracket to the Killer Beez section. The Killer Beez number 2 seed, 8-0 Killer Beez. First team since I've been with Ultimate Hoops that has finished undefeated and who didn't get the number 1 seed. So let that debate go on. You think this is going to be a benefit for them? Mm-hmm. They will face off between the winners of the UANO and the Crusaders. Yep. 15th seeded UANO, 18th seeded Crusaders. This is a crossover matchup. We love these.
We do.
Talk about that.
Both are gritty teams. I think the Crusaders got ranked a little low, in my opinion. I think the Huskies winning tonight propelled them up, but the Crusaders they've played every team but Big Smash tough. They lost by 6 to the Red Devils. They beat the Shockers. They gave the Rebels fits for a little while because it's a pretty physical game. So I think they kind of got dogged a little bit too much with that 18 seed. UANO played the Killer Beez tonight without their 2 best players and without Eric Bond, who cracked his collarbone last week. So Iron 5, they're going to be missing him, but if McLean and Markwood are back, I would give the edge to UANO, which would also make that game against the Killer Beez in the Sweet 16 better if they had their good players here.
Sure. The other half of that Killer Beez bracket, 7-seeded Big Smash, 10-seeded Gorillas. Interesting matchup here. What are your thoughts?
I've never been a fan of Reed's Big Smash. I love you, but your team is just unbearable. But I like the Gorillas, considering that Marmol and Maher will both be there. So it should be a really good game. I don't know if you'll be able to cherry pick quite as bad as you guys do normally, because Marmol, Kevin Chase, and Pinkett have and Batiste and Izzy and pretty much everyone but Helmy, and I love you, Helmy, but is kind of a hustle player now, and when that team gets together, I think you guys are in trouble.
Yeah, I can see the Gorillas making some noise.
Yeah.
This could be their first Gold Cup. I mean, I haven't predicted that this season, but who knows? So we'll go down to the three-seeded bracket, the Klub. Now, there's a lot of discussion in the players' committee room. I won't say who brought it up, but this is a easier section of the bracket.
Oh, this is up for grabs.
So the 3-seeded Klub, who is undefeated, mind you, will face off between the winner of the Shockers and the Pigeons, 14-19. Talk about this game. Crossover game.
If Dustin is there, I think the Shockers would have the edge. But I don't know if he went to college. He's missed 3 of the last 4 games, so I don't know where he's been. Without him, the experience of the Pigeons, the defense of the Pigeons is going to be too much, even though they struggle to score.
Bottom half of that section or bracket, Red Devils 6-seeded, Blue Chips 11-seed. Talk about this game.
We normally play them every season, so I think this is 2 in a row that we haven't played them, so it's good to get back. They play defense, we don't. They are not as good, though, as they were at least week 1 or to look at previous seasons. Jordan Van Oort being gone hurts them, so their half-court defense is really not what it used to be. Jeff Stevens is a very talented big man, shooting a horrific percentage for a guy who played college. I think he's at 38%. But you got to give the Red Devils the advantage just based on continuity, the fact that most of those guys have played together, and they actually, even though they're not as good, they still take pride in defense, and the Blue Chips haven't done that since their inception.
Last section, the Broncos with the 4 seed. They will face off between the winner of the 13-seeded Huskies, who helped themselves maybe 5 or 6 seeds worth tonight by winning. They'll take on the 20th-seeded and the 2-win Lights Out.
Yeah, congrats, Lights Out. It was a 6-2 vote for you to get the 20th seed, so congratulations. Winning 25% of your games really paid off this season. They had a bad break. They should have beat the Vikings. They almost beat the Vikings with 4 guys playing 4-on-5, and they really laid an egg week 1. So against last minute, I'm giving them their lone win. So I don't like rewarding teams for finishing with a 2-6 record, but the rule is 20, so we added a 20. If the Huskies play the way they did tonight, this is not going to be close. They did a great job of taking down the Players Club tonight, who is a better version of Lights Out with some similar players.
Rematch of last season's Final Four, I believe. 5th-seeded Avengers, 12th-seeded them.
Yep, should be another good game. I think the big man is not as good as Anthony Thompson, but I think they're a little deeper this year, adding Casey and I can't think of his name. They have another wing player who's good at finishing and can hit the open 3 too. So that I think this will be a very, very high-scoring game, just kind of running up and down.
Yeah, that'll be a fun matchup on Wednesday. So playing games Tuesday, Fridley. Sweet 16 games Wednesday, Bloomington South. Elite 8 games Thursday, Fridley. So next week's a very busy week. Any final thoughts on the bracket?
I don't think the Rebels will be too thrilled with their side. I said it before. The Killer Bees have to get through the Gorillas' Big Smash, and I think they'll have to get through the Gorillas. But after that, I don't think the Club's bracket is very good. And seeing the Club in the Final Four, my eyes would be gigantic. Hell, if I was the Blue Chips, I mean, sitting there, any team sitting there in the Final Four, and you see the Club, I would be thrilled.
You are the Blue Chips, by the way.
Yes, I am the Blue Chips. Just so my team knows that I am the Blue Chips, like Reed's Big Smash.
Just you.
Yeah. So if the Bees are sitting there, or the Gorillas, and they see the Clubs sitting in that other side of the Final Four, they might only bring 5 guys, because it's gonna be a cakewalk.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see who comes out of there. I mean, it could be any one of those 5 teams.
And I'm not saying the Club won't get to the Final Four, because it's really a crapshoot. But I would favor the Red Devils right now. So my Final Four would be Gorillas, Red Devils, Avengers, Rebels.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a prediction yet, but I think the Gorillas are going to win it all. So I will say that.
Well, congrats. That prediction has gone right for you.
4 seasons in a row? Hey, if I keep making it, it's going to eventually happen.
Like your Lions-Patriots Super Bowl.
Hey, I was right about Wiggins and Love and LeBron James. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a feather in your cap.
Absolutely. So, all right, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. That's all for tonight. Thank you, Mr. Briggs. Appreciate it.